This demo is going to cover how you can manage your customer equipment. By management, I mean managing the list of equipment that each client has, and also you can manage service schedules if you want. When managing equipment, it's a good idea to keep track of the equipment with identifiers, and RepairTRAX gives you some optional identifiers besides just the service item that you can use to further define an item. So let's really take a quick look at that. We need to go to the admin area to do this. Once in the admin area, we need to go to the settings area. The additional equipment or service item identifiers are down a little farther on the page, so I'm going to scroll down. Hold on. Okay, so under the service item settings, you see the service item label number 1, which is required. Here it's set as service item, but then there's two other optional labels that you can use to define the item, and once they're filled in, they will show up each time you enter in a new service item or piece of equipment. Notice that I have manufacturer and model number set, with manufacturer being required and model number being optional. Now I'm going to cancel out to get back to the main menu. Okay, from the main menu there's two ways to manage equipment for your customers. One is via ticket views, which is covered in another video, and this video is going to cover the customer views. So let's go to customers. Once in the customer area, I'll just choose a tab for an example. Let's go to the S through U tab. Okay, before I cover what all the icons do, I'm going to go ahead and pull down a drop down and see how the drop down correlates to the icons. Once viewing the customer list, you have two options to do actions. One is with the drop down items, or one is with the icons, and now I'm just going to correlate which is which, and some of the actions in the drop down are not part of the icon list, so please take note. Notice that Kathy E. Smith has quite a few pieces of equipment, so let's zoom in on her equipment list and see what it looks like. Okay, here are the 4 pieces of equipment that Kathy owns. Notice that the icons are available where you can edit, set as inactive, or jump to the last ticket if a last ticket exists. It also lists the manufacturer and model number of the equipment service item. Now these are the two extra lines that I talked about at the very beginning of the video. Yours might say brand and engine number or whatever you want. Then it's followed by the serial number. Then it's followed by an icon that you can click that automatically makes a new ticket for that item. Then following that is the next scheduled service. And if the next scheduled service is yellow, it means it's coming up soon. And if it's red, which none are, it means that the date has passed for the next service date that you set, optionally. And finally, if the item has been worked on, it shows the last service date that corresponds to the last ticket on the far left. Let's go ahead and edit one of these items to see what the interface looks like. The edit interface first shows existing equipment, if it exists, for the customer. Notice that there's 4 pieces of equipment as expected. Following that is the status of the piece of equipment. It can either be active or inactive. Inactive means you're no longer fixing it or they no longer own it, but we need to keep it around for old ticket references and reporting. Next is the service item, which is a drop down of every service item that you fix. Following that is my custom labels for manufacturer and model number, with manufacturer being required. This we set up at the very beginning of the demo. Then the serial number, and then notice that we have service tag, operating system, and computer password. These are PC/Mac repair shop related. If you do not fix computers, then these particular items do not show up. If at this time you modified any of the fields, then the particular service item, the Dell laptop, would be changed, and if you click submit, it would show these new changes within the customer equipment list. However, we're not going to do that right now. Instead, let's go up to the top and expand the existing customer equipment list. Once the equipment list is expanded, you can see the 4 items. The current item is highlighted in yellow across the whole board. Following that are the 2 custom item labels that we established at the beginning of the demo, manufacturer and model. Following that is the serial number, and there are more pieces of information that aren't displayed that are hidden, such as the service tag, operating system, and computer password, etc. But once you select any one of these items, if you wanted to change items, you could, and it would be reflected in the editor. So let's see how that looks. Notice that when I select a new item, the item gets highlighted, and all the information from that item gets moved down into the editor, including the next service date as shown. Let's pick another item just for demonstrational purposes. This should look familiar, as should this by now. Now let's go back to our original piece of equipment. And now let's update this piece of equipment by setting the next service date for this particular item. Let's see how that's done. You have 2 options. You can either use the calendar icon to select the date, or you can select a delta from today. Let's see how that looks. I'll start by going 30 days out, and then tweak the date a little bit just with the keyboard, and then submit to save. Notice that we now have a new next service date for this particular item. Up above, you'll notice that you can view inactive items. I happen to know that Kathy E. doesn't have any inactive items, so let's first set one of these items as inactive. Here's how we do it. I'll just edit the item and go straight to the status section and choose the inactive status. Even though I'm setting the item as inactive, it remains in the database. This is because if it was used in a prior ticket and you wanted to view that prior ticket, the item would still be there. Now all I need to do is submit to save. Upon the submit, I instantly jump to the inactive equipment list, which shows the Dell laptop I just made inactive. Now if I jump back to the active equipment list, I should not see the Dell laptop I just made inactive. Let's see. Sure enough, no Dell laptop. However, I really want to use the Dell laptop later, so I'm going to reactivate it as an active item. First, I have to go to the inactive list, and then make a quick edit. Okay, looks like the Dell laptop is back to being an active service item. That does it for this part of the demo. There's a second part, managing equipment via ticket views. You might want to check that out. Thanks and have a good day.